Today on the channel, we're going to go on a gear safari. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to go on a gear safari. Not really sure what I'm looking for, not really sure if I need anything. Probably don't. But there's a couple pawn shops that I like to check every few months just to see what inventory looks like. Figure the Christmas season is over, the New Year's beginning, and maybe there's some good deals out there. Maybe some stuff that people have gotten rid of that I can find a good deal on. Something that I might like that we can look at on the channel. If so, I'll get it, I'll bring it home, and we'll take a look at it. If not, at least we'll have fun looking, okay? So let's get going. All right, we are in the belly of the beast here. Kind of a cool New Year's Eve. Most people in Nashville shop at Gibson Garage or Rumble Seat, some of the big names. I'm going to check out pawn shops first. Kind of like local, old school secrets. So Barry's, a lot of times nothing here, but you got to check from time to time. So we're going to give it a shot. Okay, so today's gear safari, I would say, was a success, especially depending on whose side of the bargaining table you were actually sitting on. But I was made an offer on something that I couldn't pass up. And yeah, I can't wait to show you. Here's a little teaser in the back seat. Can't wait to show you. All right, everybody, I got this thing back inside, and now it's time to take a look at it in detail. First and foremost, we got the original hard shell case. I'm going to spin this around so we can look at it properly for the opening of the case. Now, of course, if you're paying attention in my video at the pawn shop, you probably saw this thing on the shelf. And after analyzing it and looking at it closely, I asked the gentleman, the guy that I always work with there, about a special out-the-door price, and this was just over $1,000, just a little bit more than $1,000. So we've got a 1995 Les Paul Standard Cherry Sunburst, all original, all stock. I took the pickups out in the store. I looked at the pots. Everything looks great. But what I'm going to do is, on camera, I'm going to restring this thing and clean it up. The frets are really crusty. I believe it needs a little bit of a setup. There was a little bit of fret buzz up in this area. So I need to set this thing up and clean it up really good, put some fresh strings on it. But overall, this is a really nice specimen that we captured today on the safari. Many people claim that the 95s were part of the good wood era. 90s Les Pauls are revered to be awesome, non-weight relief, good wood, good mahoganies up through the early 2000s, late 2000s. I actually think Gibson has put out quality instruments. It doesn't really matter what year it is. I think they made good models and bad models in all years, but the 90s they're consistent. I was coming of age in the 90s, really learning how to play, playing in bands, doing a lot of gigging. I'd moved to Nashville, early 90s. So this brings back a lot of memories for me. Just makes me feel nostalgic. Probably, when this guitar was out, probably a lot of Matchbox 20 played on this. One thing that kind of alarmed me in the store when I was looking at this was, the frets are quite dirty, quite crusty. They're in good shape, but it's very dirty on the fretboard. These pickups are very clean, and this was all really clean, so I thought maybe someone has replaced the pickup. So I did take them out in the store and look at everything, and it looked good. No push pulls. Everything is as it should be. No visible signs of chipping or anything of that nature on the body. It's in really nice shape. First thing I looked for was headstock cracks or breakage, and there weren't any breaks in the headstock. That looked good. The nut looks original. Tuners original. No dings in the back of the neck. Very minimal buckle rash on the back. It's discolored a little bit through the lacquer. I don't know if it's picking it up on camera, but there's a little bit of a ring here. Probably from being played, a lot. But it was well taken care of. We'll take a look inside the case also and see what it came with. There is a little bit of case candy available in the case, so nothing too exciting, but let's check that out. Okay, opening up the case. Got a Dunlop 65 guitar maintenance thing here, and we've got this little piece of polishing cloth, 8,000 grit, a string winder, and a truss rod, and a Nashville guitar pick. All right, So not much, no baby photo, nothing like that. But the original case, it's got the little satiny blanket cover that goes over it. I like these old cases, so that's really cool. All right, let's get it on the bench and we'll take a look at it. Okay, so I have started to get these strings taken off the guitar already. I was filming it, but somebody, the guy that had owned this guitar prior to me, had done the locking method around the tuning pegs where you can lock your strings. Guys, don't do that. That's a gimmick. It doesn't work. If you have tuning issues on a Les Paul or a guitar, the string locking technique does not work. That means one of your tuners are either loose or your nut is cut wrong. Strings are getting caught in the nut. Please do not lock your strings unless you change them yourself and you enjoy the difficulty in trying to do a quick string change later when they're knotted up around the tuning pegs. Then go for it. But God, I hate that. I used to do a lot of tech work, and people bring me in their guitars with the tuners locked, and or the strings. Guess I'm getting old. It's like old man grumpy syndrome here. But rant is over. The guitar actually was pretty clean on the surface. Not too bad, not a lot of fingerprints. Maybe they cleaned it up at the pawn shop, I'm not sure. But man, I cannot wait to clean this fretboard up. These frets are so grubby. And treat the fretboard. Gonna check these. Now see, these were a little loose. The tuners here, they were a tad loose, man, which is understandable. Probably been that way since the 90s. Each one of these, I was able to crank down just a little bit. Cool. So those are locked down nice. I'm gonna clean these frets. So I got this stuff recently, this Fine fret cleaner. You actually pick this stuff up at like Guitar Center. Comes with a little polishing cloth. It's got these little fret guards and this fret sauce, right? Music Nomad. So what I'm gonna do, it doesn't hurt the neck, like the rosewood. Now this guitar came with a 490R neck pickup. It's got a 498T bridge, which is standard for guitars of that era. Those are pretty hot pickups. Depending on the guitar, sometimes I like those pickups, sometimes I don't. They used to be my favorite. They are a little compressed sounding to me, a little bit too much gain. Over the years, I've sort of changed my mind. My tastes have changed. I like Burstbuckers the best, Burstbucker 1 and 2. I do like 57 Classics. Those are kind of hot. So, and the custom buckers that are in the Murphy Labs, the custom shop stuff, those are tremendous. All right, so the first thing I did was put a little bit of this Music Nomad Fine fret polish on here, and so what I'm gonna do, I'm actually gonna rub it in just a little bit. Again, this doesn't hurt the fretboard. I'm gonna treat this fretboard after I clean the frets. I'm gonna treat it anyway, but I'm gonna take a little bit of steel wool. Got super fine grit steel wool. When I say these frets were grubby, I mean they were really bad. Once I do this on each fret, I'll check it out and see if there's any crust on them anymore, and then I'll buff them up with this polishing cloth. You got to use these fret guards because you'll scratch your rosewood. Even though this steel wool is really fine, you'll mess up your fretboard, and that is something you do not want to do, for sure. These frets are already looking 100 times better. The fret height on these are good. This guitar hasn't been played. Doesn't look like it's been played a whole lot, especially when there's not a lot of scratches on the pick guard at all. The pickups are barely marked up. I was a little bit concerned. That's why I took the pickups out of it in the pawn shop, because I thought, man, these pickups look so nice, the covers, compared to the way the frets looked, right? And I thought they look a little too clean, and the stop tail piece, the tune-o-matic bridge are like mint, like brand new. So I thought, well, that doesn't seem likely that these frets would be as crusty as they are. So maybe this guy had really sweaty hands, and possibly this guitar hasn't been played in a long, long time, so the residue just on these frets have just been there for years. It's coming off really easy. This stuff is good. This Freien stuff is really nice. I recommend it. Okay, we're getting close to the end. Got about 7 or 8 more frets to go. This stuff smells kind of good too. Maybe I'm just weird. I can feel the crust coming off of these things as I rub the steel wool across these frets. You can just feel it breaking up off of the fret wire. That's a really satisfying feeling. And then looking at this neck after I've done this, I can tell from my vantage point that it's so much better. Every one of these frets was pretty gross. There's not any indentations to say so on these frets. Maybe, just a little bit. You can see it, but you can't really feel it. So it doesn't feel like this guy used a capo and left it on there for any length of time. That's good. A lot of songwriters and guys in Nashville, when I've set up their guitars and helped them out, I can tell right around the 5th fret, 3rd and 5th fret, 7th fret, they leave their capos on their acoustic guitars a lot because they play with capos to change keys and do songwriter nights and gigs on Broadway. And over time, those capos they gouge, the strings just gouge in the frets. That's like one of the worst things I think you can do is leave a capo on a guitar for a length of time, any length of time. Of course, those guys play for several hours each night too, so if they're doing that 3 or 4 or 5 nights a week, that's maybe 15 to 20 hours a week of having a capo on your guitar. That's quite a bit. So those guys have serious fret issues a lot of the times. All you could do is really file them down a little bit over time and then eventually just replace them. That's not a easy or cheap repair. I don't like replacing frets. It's time consuming and it's difficult for me. I never really, it's a lot of work. It's not really difficult, it's just really tedious, time consuming. All right, so let me take this cloth. We'll wipe off the excess fret polish cleaner off the fretboard. Those frets look a lot better. Whole lot better. So I'm done with that. So what I'm going to do is, for next time, put this stuff back in the container. So once again, this stuff was called Fine Fret Polishing Kit. Okay, that's what that looks like. Music Nomad, cool. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my, this is my string cleaner and conditioner. This is Fretboard Deep Conditioner. Okay, so I've got this Fretboard conditioner, and I've also got this fingerboard cleaner and prep. So I'm going to take the Fretboard cleaner and prep spray first and clean this fretboard up. Okay, can do that. Man, this stuff stinks. Smells like, I don't know what it smells like, kind of like Windex or some kind of cleaner you'd use on your cabinets or something, but I'm sure it's not, because you wouldn't want to put that stuff on a fingerboard. Once again, this is the Dunlop Fingerboard 01 stuff. You can get these, get it all in one big kit. Polish, wax, lemon oil. All right, cool. Now that's a lot cleaner. Just some quick maintenance here. I'm going to put this is the 02, the fingerboard 02 deep conditioner. So in other words, it's basically like it's lemon oil, probably. This will get this rosewood looking dark. I usually like to let this set in for 30 seconds to a minute. You don't have to leave it on there forever. I think that's kind of a misnomer. The wood can only take so much. It just makes it look a whole lot better. Big difference already. Cool. Take the other side of this cloth and wipe this down. Now, I will not use this same cloth to polish my guitar with. We'll take the pickups and stuff out of it first before I polish it. Then I'll polish it and restring it. Then we'll test what this thing sounds like. You know, I didn't even test how this thing sounded in the shop. I got this thing so cheap. It was such a good deal, even though I don't like Cherry Sunburst that much. Such a good deal. I fell in love with it, and being a 95, I didn't even play it. I know it's going to work. If it doesn't, I can fix it. Cool. So there is the treated neck and the polished frets. That looks so much better, as it should. I know you really can't see it super close from where you are. The camera angle, let me move this camera a little bit. Alrighty, time to take these pickups out and reveal, just for everybody on the camera, out there in the audience who wants to just make sure I'm telling the truth about these pickups. I promise you, I took these out. Interesting story. I'm sitting there at the pawn shop. I got this on a mat on the counter, kind of away from other patrons in the store, and it's everyone's getting ready for New Year's. As the shooting of this video, New Year's is within 24 hours, and one of these ladies working at the shop was working the counter, and this other lady walked in, and I guess they knew each other, or they'd seen each other before, and she said, "Yeah, I want to pawn this. I want to get $350 for it. I just found some of my favorite liquor, and I finally found where they have it, and it's $350. I'm going to buy $350." And And then she asked the lady at the pawn shop if she was going to drink and party, and the lady was like, "No, I can't drink. I'm just not much of a drinker." But this lady was, and I'm not judging, but she was pawning stuff to get her liquor, and I was trying to buy this guitar. So there you go. There's the Gibson branding on the back of the pickup. I'm not sure if the camera's picking that up, but Gibson USA. It's got the Gibson soldering, obviously holding these covers on. They haven't been replaced, and Gibson wiring on these pickups. And there's the other Gibson USA pickup. So everything's as it should. When we look down here in the cavity of the guitar, I'll hold the camera out so everybody can take a look at the routing of this thing. So there's our cavities. We take a look at this bridge. And this tailpiece. Quite heavy. Everything looks as it should. Now I'll put these pickups back in there, and we will take off the back plate. Okay, in the middle of taking off the plates here, these screws are definitely the same crusty appearance as the fret wire was, so it's all consistent. All the aging on this looks normal, pretty much. So trying to get this cover off of here. I need to get one of those little suction cup tools that lets me pull plates off of guitars. Always pushing like a little Allen wrench down in there to get it off. Alright, so this one is this all-in-one mounted looking setup, which I'm not really a fan of that, because if one of these pots goes bad, you got to replace the whole unit rather than one pot. I believe that's how this is. It looks like these are permanently mounted together on that plate. I do like the ground connections all right there in the middle. That's kind of neat. Everything looks soldered and wired as it should. So that looks good. Routing looks nice. We'll take a look at the Switchcraft three-way switch now. Okay, just for kicks, there's the three-way Switchcraft switch. It's a little crusty in there. I think I'm going to spray a little bit of deoxit on this, as well as the pots, just to make sure everything's good. So wouldn't hurt anything. So I'll spray some deoxit in there, and then we're going to polish this guitar up and restring it. Everything cleaned up really nice on this guitar, except there's a little bit of, you can't really see on camera, but there's a little bit of crustiness around this from just hand sweat. But you have to have it under the right light to see it. And I did notice while polishing the guitar, there's a little bit of scratches, a little bit of like, I don't know if it's from a stand or if it's from, the guy's leg or what. There's a little bit of damage there on the bottom. It's like buckle rash, but it's on the bottom of the guitar, but nothing major. So now that it's cleaned up, I retreated the fretboard one more time. It was pretty thirsty. It drank that stuff up pretty quickly the first time, so I put another coating of the fretboard conditioner on it, and I'm going to put some of these D'Addario 9s on it. Alright, I've got it restrung. Everything's polished up, looking great. I had to do a little bit of a setup on it. The action at the pawn shop was buzzing a little bit up here, and they had lowered the bridge down. A common mistake a lot of guys make when they need their truss rod adjusted is they'll lower the bridge down a little bit. So I don't know who did that, but the bridge was lowered so low to lower the action that it was buzzing up here. So what I did is I got this set a little bit on the higher side, and I had to tighten the truss rod, crank it a little bit to the right and get that nice balance so the action on this thing is super, super low. No buzzing anywhere, so no high frets. And the neck looks like it's in nice straight shape, so everything looks really good. So minor setup work. I do top wrap my strings. I find that they feel a little bit slinkier, and I've gotten used to that, so I top wrap for now. I may change my mind in the future, but for the past few months I've been top wrapping. Now we'll demo this thing to make sure it actually works. I have not played this thing yet through an amp, so hopefully no electrical work needed. Hopefully all these pots work, the switch works. If not, then that's another project. Let's check it out.